Hi, welcome to this guide. We are going to have a look how you can set up the New World Company tool running on a Droplet hosted by Digitalocean, how we are going to set up SSL so your website is reachable over the HTTPS protocol, and how you can take good use of PM2 so it will handle your node process. This guide is meant for beginners, so if you have no knowledge of Linux, I hopefully will guide you through this. And if there are any questions, just let me know in the comments or try to reach out to me on my Discord. Before we begin, let's just have a short look at the tool. So what you can do is you can manage your own character. You can enter your character level and your gear score. So let's say it's 500. You can manage your attributes. So I'm not quite sure what my character is currently at, but I will just enter some values over here. And maybe some weapon mastery. So I like to play with the fire staff. Let's put it up to 20. And you can also manage your crafting skills here, so everyone in your company can see the values. After that is done, this is the company table where every character in your company is displayed. You can see the values if they are inserted. So I had the 20 fire staff. I can also click on details, so I can see it all at once for one character in my company, and you can reach out to this specific character directly in Discord, maybe if you need him to craft you something. The other thing you can do currently is create an expedition. So if you plan to run an expedition, say I want to go to Dynasty Shipyard today at 20 o'clock, and I'm a damage dealer. I also have a tuning orb. I can insert this right here. If this was a mistake or some other people want to join, they only need to click the icons right here. So if I want to join as a tank, now I have no tuning orb. So it tells me, oh, there are no tuning orbs for this expedition. And I can also join as a healer. Now I have a tuning orb maybe. And this is also now visible to every other company member on this scheduler. So that's it. Now let's see how we can set up this. To get started, you will need to buy a domain. I usually do this on GoDaddy.com. So you can just navigate there, find a domain name that suits you, and buy it. After you've done that, you need to go to your domain settings, into the DNS settings. That will look something like this. And what we need to do now is to change it to point to DigitalOcean, because that's the hoster we will use in this tutorial. That's pretty straightforward. You will just need to go to name servers. So one remark is this is all in German because I'm apparently German. And I think it will look something like this on your machine. Just go over to the DNS settings and just say, hey, I want to use my own name server. And we are just going to type in the values for DigitalOcean, which is ns1.digitalocean.com. And there are two more of them. Okay, now just save. Wait a minute and let's see what's here. Yep, I want to do that. And this will take some while. So let's just wait a minute and check out later. After a short while and hitting refresh, now this looks like this. We have inserted the name servers of DigitalOcean, and that's it. Now we can head over to DigitalOcean and set up our droplets. After we've set up our DNS and our domain, now it's time to head over to Digitalocean, which is a low-cost web hoster I use in this tutorial. It's an alternative to be using services like AWS or Google Cloud. I like to use it for my hobby projects because you can easily create and dispose small virtual machines, which they call droplets. If you would like to support me, you can use the link in the descriptions to sign up. This will give you $100 at no cost for 60 days. You can play with and try out everything. Once those 60 days are gone, you will have to pay real money to run your droplet, which is $5 per month. And once you've spent $25 of real money, I will get that money from DigitalOcean as well. If you don't like to do that, just go to digitalocean.com. I will link that in the description as well, and just sign up your account. So this is the page, digitalocean.com. You can then sign up here or use the link in the description. As I said before, I will just log in with my Google account. Once you've signed up at digitalocean.com and you've logged into your account, this will look something like this. And the first thing we would like to do now is to create our droplet, which is a small virtual machine on which we will later run our web server and the New World company tool. So this is fairly easy to do. We just get over here, create droplets, and we will choose the smallest droplet we can find running Ubuntu. So we need just a regular Intel, $5 per month, and I will have it run in Frankfurt. And now we are going to need to set up an SSH key, which is pretty easy to do. You will need to install PuTTY if you're running Windows. So this is my recommendation to do it. And more on how to do that now. You can download PuTTY at putty.org. Just head over here. Yes, you can download PuTTY here. And then download the installer which suits your machine best. Install it and then head over to the folder where you have installed PuTTY, and you will open PuTTY-gen in there. Okay, after you have installed PuTTY and started PuTTY-gen, this should open a window with the title PuTTY-gen generator, which we can now use to generate our SSH keys. This is pretty easy to do. You just click generate, and now it's you should move the mouse to create some randomness. So just do this. Now we have created our public key, which is this. But you should enter a passphrase to protect your private key. So I will do that now. And now you can save your public and private key on some location on your machine. I will do that now. You will not see the Windows dialog, but it's pretty straightforward. Just choose some folder you would like, and I will call the public key DigitalOcean New World Company Tool public. And now I save the private key, DigitalOcean New World Company Tool private. Hit save, and now I will copy this to my clipboard, and now we will head over to DigitalOcean again. Okay, back at DigitalOcean, we can now create a new SSH key. I just paste the content over here and give it a name. Let's call it New World Company Tool. And we will add that, and we will use this. So this is used to connect to our droplet later on. We will create one droplet, and let's call this one New World Company Tool. I don't need any tags or anything. I think this is fine. I will just hit create now. which will then create my droplet. This will take some while. And after this is done, we will try to connect to our droplet for the first time using PuTTY. Hey, on your local machine, head to the folder where you've installed PuTTY before. And now we won't open PuTTYgen again, but we will open PuTTY, which will open a dialog which looks something like this. And we will create a new configuration for our New World Company tool. And what you will see up here is we need to enter a hostname or IP address. So let's first start taking the IP address from Digitalocean for newly created droplet. Just paste it here. Go back to PuTTY. And you will also need to select SSH auth. You will need to select the private key we have created before on your local machine. Go back to session, save, and connect. So this will open a dialog asking PuTTY security alert. You will just hit yes because you trust the remote, and then you will be able to enter the user you want to log in as. So this is root, and the passphrase we've used to create our private and public key. Enter it. You will not see the value you're entering, so no worries. Just enter it and hit return. And then you will hopefully be connected to your droplet. So the next thing we will do is set up the DNS so we can use our domain and not the IP address to connect to our droplet. Then change the SSH ports to something else than the default port, and update our droplet so we have the newest updates and patches. Back to DigitalOcean, we can now register our domain. So to do this, just press create again and go to domains DNS. I will enter my domain, which is newworld-tool.com, and edit. And we will now create an A record, which is a subdomain, which we will then route to our newly created droplet. Just leave the time to live at this value and create the record. So this might take a while. You can just wait like 5 minutes. I will show you next how to check if your record is working. To see if our newly registered domain is working with our A record, so our subdomain, you can go to a page like dnschecker.org. Just insert the values over here. Like in my case, it's nwct.newworld-tool.com, and then hit search. And now we can see this resolves to the following IP address in many countries on this world. And if I just check the IP right here with the IP of my droplet, this seems to work. So now we can head back to PuTTY and replace our static IP with our domain name. Back in PuTTY, we can now load our configuration, and I will replace the static IP address with my domain. Save, and now try to connect. This will ask me again if I trust the remote, because I changed the host name. I just press yes and try to log in again. And hey, cool, that worked. Now we can change the SSH port and then update our droplet and then the infrastructural thing is mostly done. To change our default SSH port 22 to something else, we will head to the folder in the location etc ssh, and we can edit a file called sshd-config. And if I look, I have some different things over here, but what we want to change is this thing here. So currently we are running on port 22. We will just change this to 2242 and then press Ctrl X, Y to save it. And that's it. Now we can restart our SSH service. And now this thing is running on port 2242. What we will do next is go to DigitalOcean and allow connections on that new port in our Droplet. So we need to configure our cloud firewall. So head over to DigitalOcean, up here on Create Cloud Firewalls. We will call this rule New World Company Tool. Delete this record because it's not needed anymore. We will enter a custom TCP port, which we've defined before, 2242. And we will apply this to our newly created droplet, which we have called this. And I've used this before to try it out. So just call it New World Company Tool. New World Company. Let's go with this. Okay. I need to delete this later. There it is, the old one, just destroy it. We don't need this. You don't have to do this. So let's check. This looks good. This is the rule. It's applied to our droplet. And now let's head back to our SSH terminal. And we will disconnect now and try to connect via SSH on our newly created port. This is already disconnected, so just like this. Let me open PuTTY again. Connect to this. Now we hit load because we want to change the port to something new. And hopefully we can connect to our droplet again. This is looking promising. So now we have changed our port from 22 to 2242 and have some more protection from unwanted people trying to steal our droplet. So the next thing I like to do is to update my droplet to the newest version of Ubuntu and all my packages and stuff. So I will just hit update, which fetches the newest stuff, but doesn't yet install it. So this may take some seconds. Now we will do an upgrade. And now this is done, we will also do a distribution update. So just hit and the -y argument is just so I don't need to say I want to do this again. So just for demo purposes, I will Now I need to press Y, so that's why it's there. So this will take some while again, so just wait, grab some coffee. Now our droplet is at the newest state possible at the current moment. So the last thing I would like to do is trying to set up our firewall inside our droplet for another security layer. So we have our cloud firewall from DigitalOcean and then our Linux firewall inside our droplet. To create a firewall rule inside of our droplet, I would just enter UFW allow port 2242 on TCP. I have already added this before, so don't worry about these statements, and then I can enable my firewall, which will then only allow TCP connections on this port and nothing else anymore. So hopefully this works. Now we will restart our droplet and see what happens. Reboot, I'm sorry, it's reboot. And let's see what happens if I try to connect again. So I close this window. Okay, after our droplet has rebooted, I will go back to PuTTY and try to reconnect. So let's check load if everything is still set up right. Okay, and here we go. I can log in. And I think this is some kind of good protection for our newly created droplet. So now we can work on something more funny and get the stuff running on this machine so we can connect via our browser using HTTP. What we will do now is install Nginx on our machine, which is a small web server that can be used for all kind of things. We will use it as a reverse proxy. That means we will have running our New World Company tool on port 8080 on this machine. And but we only make the ports 80 and 443 available to the public, and this is where Nginx will sit and forward all our requests to our New World Company tool process. I like to use Nginx because it's pretty easy to install SSL certificates and run the processes on HTTPS instead of HTTP. So to install Nginx, it's pretty easy. We just install Nginx and the Y argument again. This will take some while, but not too long, I guess. Now we allow port 80 on our firewall. And we will also allow port 443 on our firewall. Then we will need to go to DigitalOcean and our cloud firewall configuration. Okay, so back here on DigitalOcean, we will select our droplet right here, go to networking, and here we have our firewall, which I will now edit. And I want a new rule, which is HTTP, save, and HTTPS. So port 80 and 443 as we've configured before. Save this, and I think we need to reload our firewall. So I will just do it by rebooting our machine. I'm not quite sure if it's necessary, but better safe than sorry. So go to your terminal again hit reboot, and then we will connect again. So I close this, I open up PuTTY again, and connect to our Droplet. And now, hopefully it's working. I will just open a new tab, which I will call .newworldtool.com. And oh, I'm sorry, I have not removed this. So on our domain, we are running Nginx. Everything is working. To create the user which will run our New World Company tool on our Droplet, we will have to run the user add command. Let's make a home directory in opt NWCT, and I want the user to use bash, and let's call him NWCT. Hit return, and that user should be created. So switch user, and let's change to our home directory, which is right here. And let's see what's in here. That looks good. And the next thing will be that we install Node for this user. To install Node on your Droplet, we can just head over to their website, nodejs.dev. We copy under the Linux, we copy this command, go back to our Droplet, paste it right here. And that looks good. So it said that it appended some strings to our bash src. Let's have a short look if that actually worked. This looks good. For this to have effect, we need to relog to our Droplet. So I will just exit and restart PuTTY. Reconnect. I will switch to tier. Let's go to our home directory. And let's see if that actually worked. Oh yeah, that looks good. So we have now this right here. And let's see if NVM is also installed correctly. So we can execute it. Let's go to the Node.js webpage, copy the second command, go to our terminal, and hit return. That looks good. Let's see, Node version. All right, so we are set up to run Node on our machine. Let's create the folders for our New World Company tool server and data, and download it and try to start it for the first time. Now I'm inside the New World Company tool server folder, which is located at opt New World Company tool, New World Company tool server. And what we want to do now is download the latest Node distribution from the New World Company tool GitHub repository. The link will be in the description, so just head over there. Click on the latest release, which is 2.1.0 at the current moment in time. I will right-click the node distribution and copy the address of that link. I will go back to my terminal and use wget and paste the link down there. This will download the file to your terminal, And then we can use tar to unpack the file. So just write tar minus z x v f, and then new word company tool tar gz. Hit return, and this should extract all files. Now we can remove the tar ball because we don't need it anymore. And now we can start a new word company tool. So node, the folder is dist, and there we have the main JavaScript file, and the tool needs a data path. So that's the folder we've created before. It is opt. And please don't forget that last slash, because I will fix that in some moment in time, but it's needed at the moment. So if you don't do that, it won't work properly. And I will just hit return and start up the server. So due to some resolution issues, this looks quite ugly. It might look nicer on your machine. But okay, now let's just wait. It will install all dependencies, create your database, apply all migrations to your database, and start up the server. Okay, after the server has successfully started, I will kill it again. So I press Control C, and then I will head over one folder back into the data folder. And let's have a look in here. Okay, it has created the database and a configuration file, which we need to set up now. Okay, now let's open the configuration file to see what's in there. So I will use just nano for this. This will open the file. We need to do some stuff right here. So let's edit our base URL. At the moment, this will be new word company tool dot word tool.com. We will need to enter some secret value here. So I will use the value I will get from Discord later. It runs on port 8080, that's fine. The database will be called database DB. I can leave it like this. So my company name is just test, and the server is also like something like test server. You can fill in any value you would like right here. What you see is we need, I use Discord to log in, and we need to get some values from here. So that's pretty easy to do. We will need to head over to Discord. It's discord.com developers applications. So I have already some stuff right here. Let's call it New World Company Tool, and create it. And what we will need to set up is the OAuth 2 right here. So I need the client ID, copy it, go back to my terminal and paste the client ID right here. So insert. Then I will go back, copy the token secret. So you will see it in clear text right now, but of course I will change it after the video before I release the video. Oops, sorry. So if you want to paste in PuTTY, just hit right click do not use Control V like you're used to. And then let's go token secret. I hit Control V again because I'm so used to it. And I will just use the client secret for my token secret. And now I press Control X. Yes. Save it. And that's all I need to do right here. Now I will go back to Discord, and what I will need to do is add a redirect URL, which I will allow, and that will be HTTP new world company tool newworldtool.com, and then API login callback. Save it. Do not forget to hit save. And that's it. Now we can close this. We're on the DNS checker. Let's go back here. And now we need to set up the Nginx reverse proxy, and then we can try to access the tool in our browser for the first time. To configure Nginx, we need to switch back to our root user. So just type exit in your terminal and we will switch over back to root. Then we will navigate into etc Nginx, sites available. And there we will create and paste something into a file. So the file we will call NWCT. And the following content is available on the script to this guide, which I will link in the description, of course. So I just pasted this in here. This is the configuration for Nginx. So I will replace the domain right here to my domain, newworld2.com. So fill in whatever you have, and the rest can stay as it is. Yes, it can stay. Okay, let's save this. And the next thing we are going to do is to create a symbolic link in the sites enabled folder of Nginx, which will then enable this configuration file. If you ever want to disable the configuration, you will only need to delete the link, not the file itself. So this is how you normally do configuration within Nginx. So let's create a symbolic link. So Nginx sites available NWCT, and inside the folder etc Nginx sites enabled. So if I go to sites enabled, I have a symbolic link right there, and this link points to sites available NWCT. Perfect. Now let's check the configuration of Nginx. So conf test. Config test. Sorry, I always get this wrong. Why ever? The configuration is okay. So now we can sudo restart Nginx. Sudo service Nginx restart. Okay, now we have restarted Nginx. And the last thing we are going to do now is we switch back to company tool. We switch back to our new world company tool user. Let's head over to our server folder and then run it again. So I can press Control R to do a reverse search like node. And this was the command I entered earlier to start the server. So I will just do it again. Okay. server started and is listening on port 8080. We have our reverse proxies set up to forward all requests we make to port 80 to port 8080. Woohoo! Welcome. You have your UL tool instance running on your Droplet. Let's try to log in. This is me. I can create a new account. I am Grese. Register. Perfect. It's running. So now, just to do some polish, we want to have HTTPS and we want to have PM2 managing our node process, because if I go back to my terminal and I close it, and now I will refresh this page, it's gone. So this is something we need to fix. Okay, I've reconnected to my Droplet. The server is not running anymore. And let's switch over to our new world company tool user, go to our home directory. And now we will install PM2. This is a process manager for Node. It's really easy to use, and I use it for every node process I run on a Linux machine, because I really like it. So just head over to pm2 keymetrics.io. The link will be in the description. So, and as we have already installed Node, we also have installed npm. So I can just copy this into my terminal, right click to paste it, run it. It will install PM2. It's easy as this, and PM2 is already set up. Okay, that's it. Exactly. So now we will create a configuration file for PM2 in which we tell PM2 what we want it to start and how to handle it. We are already in the right folder. Let's create a file. Let's call it nwct.config.js. And this is in the script as well. You can just paste it right here. So we want the app. We want it with this configuration. We want PM2 to start a process called NWCT. This script is located at server dist main.js. We have the argument. This is our data path. So I will have to prepend this slash here. As I said before, I will fix that in some point in time. But for now, this is needed. Yeah, if the server ever consumes more than 100 megabytes, it will automatically be restarted by PM2. Whenever you restart your Droplet, whenever it crashes or whatever, PM2 will automatically restart the process. Okay, I will just save it. So Control X, Y, return. And then we can start it. So this is the file. And we will start it via pm2 start config.js. That's it. Hit return. And it's starting. So I can hit pm2 monit to open a small monitoring file in which I will hopefully see the server log. Yep. I think it must have started now. Let's head back to our browser and reopen newworldcompany2.com. And there it is running. And now I can also quit my terminal again. So pop, close it and refresh. It's still running. It's working. I can create an expedition. can get in, out, whatever I want to do. It's working. Nice. And the last thing now would be to set up SSL. Okay, to get HTTPS running for our process, just head over to certbot.eff.org/instructions. The link will be in the description again. So we hit Nginx running on Ubuntu 20. And then we will have to check our snap version. So I will log into my Droplet again. Why can't you see? Now you can see it. Okay, I will just paste this command, which will download snap. Okay, perfect. And then we can install certbot. So I go back to the page. I select this, paste it in my terminal, go for it. Okay, the next thing in the tutorial on their side is I should copy this and paste it in my terminal, run it. Okay. So run this command to get a certificate and have certbot edit your Nginx configuration automatically to serve it, turning on HTTPS access in a single step. Yes, I definitely want to do exactly this. So I copy this command, paste it, and let it run. So enter email address. So I will just enter my personal email address right here. We agree to these terms of service. Yes. Yes, I want to do that. Okay. I leave it blank, so it has already detected that this is my configuration. I just leave it blank because I could also enter one, but so now certbot is requesting a certificate for our domain. Now it's editing our Nginx configuration and then it's already done. But before we can head over to our company tool, we need to edit two things, and this is our Discord OAuth 2 configuration and the server configuration. So let's switch user to our company tool. Let's switch over to our home folder and open New World Company data, edit the configuration file. And because we have started with HTTP, we can now add this S right here. Hit Control X, Y, return to save it. Now we head over to our Discord configuration. We have our, I guess it was this one, New World Company tool, exactly. Yeah, I would turn off this terminal so you can see. Now I will just add this small s right here. It will ask me, yes, I want to save this. So otherwise, you will get an error if you try to log into your application. Yes, I think that's it. Is it? I'm not quite sure. Let's just try it out. So I can just use the old thing, just refresh it, because Nginx will automatically redirect us to the HTTPS. And if I click right here, it tells me this connection is safe. The certificate is still valid. So that's looking good. Now you're completely done.